which earlier refers to this section. We're lucky to get a copy of it. How's that? Anybody get that copy yet?
Not yet.
If you didn't, hold on, you're going to get one. Eventually. Rich specializes in contractor marketing and helps companies develop the mindset and generate the increased lead flow they need to make the jump to become a 10 million plus company. Over the past 25 years, Rich has refined his methods while working with some of the most elite companies in the home improvement and home service industries. He focuses on helping clients forge a unique identity to separate themselves from the competitors, then using both online marketing and traditional media to unlock the lead flow necessary to create massive growth. Rich is the author of 3 books and has spoken at hundreds of industry conferences, dealer network meetings, corporate events, and webinars, and we are thrilled to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Rich Harshaw to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You want the mic?
I do not need the mic. Thank you. Let's make sure this works. So go with me to 2005. You ready? 2005. I've got 6 children. At the time, they were ages 6 months old to 12 years old. So we did the thing that seemed to make the most sense. We put them all in a 15-passenger van and decided to drive across the country from South Lake, Texas, in the Dallas area where I lived at the time, to Meridian, Idaho, a distance of about 26 driving hours. Makes sense, right? This was 2005, so this is before the internet was really handy and in your pocket. So as we were driving, we had a plan to stop at hotels when we got tired of driving, which was almost immediately. The second day, we're driving through Utah on our way up, and we get to Ogden, Utah, and we had a hard choice to make. It was about 4 o'clock, and the choice is, do we keep going? Because if you go much past Ogden, Utah, heading north, there's nothing for about 3 hours. Do we keep going and risk it, or do we just stop in Ogden? We decided to stop. And in those days, we couldn't just pull out the phone and make a hotel reservation, so we did what you did back in those days. You pulled over to the exit that had all the hotels. Well, my wife is extremely picky about hotels. She doesn't like anything that's crusty or old or disgusting, calcified, anything. She doesn't like it. So we had to be very careful. So I'm looking at the hotels, and it was pretty obvious some of these were not a good fit. There's like the old, local wagon wheel motel, no. The old Howard Johnson's, not a fit. And out of the 4 or 5 hotels, the one that we decided to look closely at was the Holiday Inn Express. It looked like it was pretty new. So I go in, first question I ask, how old is this hotel? And they said it was only 2 years old. I said, that sounds like a pretty good fit. Do you have any rooms? They did. So we start to check in. As we check in, I notice on the stand next to the cashier, or the clerk, I notice there's a little sign, and one of these 8.5 by 11 plexiglass signs, you can put a piece of paper in it. It said, welcome to the Holiday Inn Express, home of the Stay Smart bathroom featuring the Stay Smart showerhead. And there was a photo of this ginormous showerhead. And I thought, okay, whatever. Didn't pay that much attention to it. We check into the rooms. We took 2 rooms. We go in there. The kids, again, remember, they're from age 6 months to 12 years old. They start immediately destroying everything, jumping on the beds, TV's on. They've been cooped up all day. And as they're going nuts, I look next to the TV on the dresser and I see another sign. Same thing, 8.5 by 11 plexiglass sign. It says, welcome to your room at your earliest convenience. Please check out the Stay Smart bathroom featuring the Stay Smart showerhead by Kohler. And a big picture of this giant showerhead. And I think, I'm a marketing guy. I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to go check it out. So I go into the bathroom, and the very first thing I notice when I flip on the light is on the counter, on the vanity, next to the sink, is another sign. And it says, welcome to the Stay Smart bathroom, featuring, this time there was 4 things. And it listed them. Number 1, oversized plush towels. And I looked over at the towels, and I gave them a little squeezer, and I thought, yeah, that's kind of a nice towel. I like it. Number 2, a bowed out shower curtain rod. Now, this is 2019 now. In 2005, this was very, very innovative because, you know, it goes out, the shower curtain, I mean, nothing worse than other people's naked touching you. So that was kind of nice. Number 3, designer toiletries. Very cool. And I looked at them, and they're little, you know, shampoo bottles and soaps, and they looked like maybe they were French or something. I don't know, very fancy for Holiday Inn Express. And then, of course, number 4, the Stay Smart Showerhead by Kohler. So I turned to look at the Stay Smart Showerhead, and I can't see it because the shower curtain on that boat-out shower curtain rod is closed. So I open it up, and there it is in all of its glory, in all of its splendor. Angels singing, lights coming out of the shower practically, the Stay Smart Showerhead by Kohler. You know how I know? Because there was well, I'll show you how I know. They put a sign on it. This is actual flip phone 2005 camera phone technology. A picture of the Stay Smart Showerhead in the actual Ogden Holiday Inn Express. And it tells you, as you can't really see, but on the left side on the bottom, there's 3 different settings: relaxing, reinvigorating, and rejuvenating. So I did the only thing I could think of. I locked the door because the kids are out in the hotel room, and I took a shower. It was wonderful. What a fantastic shower. My wife's beating on the door. What are you doing? The kids are going crazy. And I'm like, I'm rejuvenating, relaxing, and revitalizing. It was fantastic. What a way to start a talk about window marketing. What's going on here? I researched this because I'm a marketing guy. This was very intriguing to me. And here's what I found out. I found out that Holiday Inn Express had conducted surveys about their shower heads. And they conducted the surveys in 3 different situations. Number 1 was before they started this campaign about the Stay Smart bathroom and the Stay Smart showerhead. And they asked people, what do you think about, and then they listed different components of a hotel stay. Things like how clean it is, was the bed good, the pillows, the food at the hotel, all the different things, the swimming pool, all the stuff that you would normally think about a hotel stay, they asked. And one of the things was the shower head. And in that environment, in that situation, the shower head got a rating of about 4.5 stars. Because people thought, well, whatever, it's a decent shower head. Then they tested it, they did the surveys with the advertising campaign about the Stay Smart bathroom, and it went up to 4.6 stars. Then they tested it with a sign at the check-in, a sign next to the TV, a sign on the vanity, and a sign hanging from the actual shower head. And guess what the rating of the shower head went to? 5 stars. Why would people like a shower head better just because somebody had pointed it out to them? That's the operative question for today's meeting. Why would somebody rate something as being better simply because it had been repeatedly pointed out to them in a very specific, very contextually relevant way? And the answer to that question is what we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about what I call pointing at your shower head. And you might say, we don't have a shower head. We'll get to that, okay? So, leave that there for just a second. I'm going to talk about who I am and what you can expect today. Put that over there. And here's who I am. My name's Rich Harshaw. I've been in this industry for, gosh, how many years now? 1994 started the company. Been in remodeling since about 2005. Do a lot of work in home services, HVAC, do a lot of work in exterior remodeling, window siding, roofing, sunrooms, gutters, things like that. Also interior remodeling, kitchens and bathrooms, things like that. My company used to be known as Monopolize Your Marketplace up until this last year, until 2018. But we rebranded it to Level 10 Contractor for 2019. And I'm going to tell you why. In 2011, after, let's see, 2005 to 2011, simple math would say 6 years of specializing in remodeling marketing, working with contractors. The majority of the contractors we worked with were in the smaller range, somewhere in the $1, $2, $3, $4 million range. We had a few clients that were bigger here and there, but most of the clients, most of the companies in the industry skew to the smaller end. In 2011, I got a call from a guy named Mark Aiken who owned a company called Horizon Services, which was an HVAC company in Wilmington, Delaware, also in Philadelphia. And he said, I want you to do my marketing. The company at the time was $44 million in sales. And I thought, sounds like my kind of client. So I went up there, did some business with those guys, worked with them for 6 years. During those 6 years, that company went from $44 million in sales to $150 million in sales until the end of 2017 when they sold out to a private equity company for a lot of money. I didn't get any of it. That's kind of a ripoff. Here's what I learned working with that company. Big companies that grow from 0 to 44 million and then from 44 to 150 million, they do things remarkably different than $2 or $3 million companies. The mindset is different. Everything about the way they operate completely different. In 2015, on the tails of working with that company, I was introduced to another company called Service Champions, another air conditioning company in Southern California. They were doing about 30 million in sales at the time. I started working with them. I found out that they do things extraordinarily different than smaller companies. At the same time, I started working with a company called Hanson's in Detroit, a window siding and roofing company. At the time, they were doing about $65 million in sales. And guess what I discovered? They do things tremendously different. Started working with a company called Jericho Home Services in Kansas City. Jericho Home Improvements. About a $12 million kitchen and bath remodeling company. And here's what I found out. They do things tremendously different than the $2, $3, $4 million companies. So I took all of this data that I was compiling, all the best practices for these big companies, and I put it into a book. So here's some of those companies that I mentioned. Put it into a book called Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. This right here. Did everybody get their copy? The answer is no, you did not, because I think we're going to give them away later. Maybe. That's up to Katie. Be nice to Katie. You may get a book. I wrote this book, and in this book, I talk about the marketing mindset, the things that you need to do to operate and think and produce like companies that are doing 10, 30, 50, $100 million in sales. So what we're going to talk about today is the number one foundational concept that everything else is built on from a marketing perspective. Now, there's lots of areas of your business, right? You've got the financial management part, you've got the operations and installation part. All of those parts, not my thing. You've got the sales and the sales management part of that. That's not my thing. My thing is right here on the cover of this book, Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. How do we get more leads, but not just more leads? How do we get more leads that come to us, understanding already when they call us or contact us online who we are, how we're different, why we're better, what they can expect when they do business with us. And this is an important one for a lot of companies. Let me ask you if it's important to you. Is anybody in this room a little bit or a lot of bit more expensive than the average competitor? One dude. Congratulations. And the guy sitting next to him, kind of a little bit more expensive. If you're a little bit more expensive, here's what you want your marketing to do. You want it to pave the way for you so that people, when they call you, they already know that. For instance, if you were to go down to the Lexus dealership or the Mercedes-Benz dealership, would you be shocked to discover that the Lexus costs more than the Toyota? Would you be surprised? Would that throw you for a loop? If it does, that means you've been not paying attention for the last 30 years. Have you ever been in a sales environment where, for your company, when you give your quote and you give your price and the customer looks surprised and they've got sticker shock because they've got 2 other quotes from other companies for similar types of products, but they're less money and you're more expensive, and now you're spending all your time trying to catch up and tell them, no, you don't understand. We're different. We're better. Here's what I want to do. I want to take the, hey, we're different, we're better conversation. I want to put it out on the front end. I want to put it into all of your marketing. Here's a good phrase for you. It comes from Lao Tzu from the book Art of War. Victory goes to the one with superior forces at the point of contact. Victory goes to the one with superior forces at the point of contact. Think about that. As it relates to your marketing, what are the relevant points of contact? In my experience with thousands of remodeling companies, the most important and focused upon point of contact that most organizations spend their time, money, effort, and energy on is the sales meeting, the salesperson, the sales environment. And that's understandable, but it's the wrong answer. And here's what I'm not saying. Don't spend time, effort, energy, and money on the sales process and the salesperson and the sales environment. Here's what I am saying. If you wait to build the case for why people should do business with you until the sales meeting, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to miss a ton of opportunities because the people that you want to do business with are never going to have called you in the first place. And number two, you are going to be meeting with people that don't understand the advantages of doing business with you. They don't understand why and how and for what reasons you're more expensive, and it has a lot to do with the fact that you're what? Better. Okay, by show of hands, I'm going to decide right now if I'm going to continue this keynote or if I'm just going to walk off the stage and leave. Does anybody in this room feel like your products and services, buying from your company from the perspective of the client, do you feel like you're better and that you're worth more? If you feel like that, raise your hand. All right, put them down. Now, if you didn't just raise your hand a minute ago, raise your hand now.
How can you base this based on feel?
Okay, so one person doesn't feel like you're better and worth more money. All right, I'll stick around. I'll stick around. Because if you do feel that way, and if you are that way, here's what we've got to do. We've got to find a way to take that message, we've got to put it out on the front end through the marketing, okay? Here's what we do at our company. We help remodeling home services companies make the jump to $10 million and beyond. That's what we do. It's real simple. We work with smaller companies. We work with $2, $3, $4, $5 million companies, but we work with companies that have the right mindset, all right? You don't have to be big, but you do have to think right. You have to have good products and services, charge high prices. Level 10 companies, is what we call level 10 contractors, our company name, level 10 companies, they spend the most on marketing. Why? Because it takes money to get the name, the understanding of who you do and how you're better out into the marketplace. These companies don't cut corners on anything. What do I mean by that? Don't cut corners on anything. I've got a client in California that routinely, this is a heating and air conditioning company, they run 80,000 calls a year. Out of 80,000 calls a year, how many do you think get messed up? Enough. Despite best practices, despite all of the systems they have in place, sometimes they mess up. And the owner of that company, when they mess up, you know what his way of getting around the mess up and fixing it is? Besides just going in and fixing the problem, he writes checks. $4,300 repair, $17,000 installation. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens and they mess up, you know what he does? He looks at him and says, you know what, Dave? This one's on me. And he writes the check, and he pays for the entire job himself. He doesn't do it all the time because they don't mess up all the time. But if you've got the budget to fix problems with a checkbook, your life becomes really, really easy. Becomes really easy. Afford to deal with inevitable problems. They're just the best, okay? These are the companies that make the most money. The company that I just mentioned just took on private equity. The company does $50 million in sales now at a 20% net profit margin. 20%. In 2017, they were ticked off because they were at 19.7% net profit. 2018, 20% on the nose. That's their goal. So we're going to talk about this concept. It's called identity. This is the key for everything that we're going to talk about today. So just a graphic for you on the board. This is what you want out of all the competitors. They're all looking kind of the same. You want to be the red apple that stands out that people look at and go, oh, that one's different. That one's probably better. This is what you think is happening. You think that you're the red apple in the sea of green apples. And here's what's actually happening. Most likely, you're just another green apple. You say, well, I don't like that. Well, here's what we want to do. We want to audit the things that you're putting out there. Victory goes to the one with superior forces where? What are your points of contact? Does anybody do advertising? Point of contact. Does anybody have a website? Really, really important point of contact. Does anybody do home shows? Really important point of contact. Online advertising, Facebook advertising, anybody on TV or radio, any of these things? Really important points of contact. And here's what we find over and over in the course of my 25-year career. It's been very steady. In the course of working with remodeling contractors, it's always the same. Companies simply do not stand out. They look, sound, smell, and feel like their competitors, and I'll prove it to you today, okay? Here's what we find. Most marketing full of platitudes. Definition of a platitude. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Words, phrases that are drearily commonplace, predictable, lack power to evoke interest through overuse and repetition, stated as though they were original or significant. Things like, we've got the best service, the highest quality, the largest selection, free estimates, we've been in business since 1431 BC. I was talking to Katie before the meeting. I said, hey, what was your keynote on last year? She said, succession planning. I heard during the awards there was a lot of family-owned businesses. Family-owned businesses are almost always falling into this platitude trap. Almost always. I'm not saying that you're a bad company. I'm not saying anything negative other than you've got to really look at how you're putting yourself out there. If you go out to the marketplace and say, we're a family-owned business. We've been in business since 1964. What tangible benefit does that offer to the marketplace? You say, well, we've been around a long time, so we must be doing things right, so that's good. And there's some credibility and there's some credence to that. But you cannot assume that the idea that you are a family business that's been there for a long time is going to move the needle. You know what I found on most family businesses? Not all. I don't want to make sweeping generalizations, but for the most part, here's what I find. Window companies, siding doors. They're doing $2 or $3 million. They've been doing $2 or $3 million for 27 and a half years. And the majority of their business comes from repeat and referral business, which sounds like a really positive thing. But the problem with repeat and referral business, it's really hard to scale it. It's really hard to grow to $10 million from $3 million on repeat and referral business. To get to $10 million, you've got to get out of that comfort zone and you've got to start generating leads. And you can't do it based on the fact that you've been there for a half a century. You've got to do it based on something that is going to move the needle with customers. So we'll talk about how to find and point at your showerhead, right? So, it's got a nice squeak to it. Websites, home shows, print, everything that you do, you probably look a lot like your competitors. So let's just do a Google search and prove this. I did a keynote earlier this year for James Hardie at their summit, about 400 siding and window dealers, mostly siding dealers. And I said, hey, at this keynote, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to go to Dallas. I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search Dallas James Hardie siding. And whatever comes up first, I'm going to put in the keynote to prove that the dealers don't know how to do what I'm talking about. And they said, we really would prefer if you don't do that because it might make some of our dealers angry. And I said, okay, if you're in the business of not making dealers angry, that's okay. I'm in the business of helping dealers get past things that are causing them to not grow and to make more money. So we took those slides out and we replaced them with random ones from somewhere else that wasn't James Hardie siding. But for this presentation, I put them back in, okay? So here's what this is. This is me Google searching Dallas James Hardie siding. Here's what comes up. And this is in the order that they came up. Number one, Allied Siding and Windows, Irving. Since 1988, Allied Siding and Windows has serviced over 40,000 satisfied customers with home improvement projects in Texas. Don't believe me? Here's a picture. Allied Siding and Windows installs more Hardie plank siding than any other company in Texas. Has anybody ever noticed this before? That every single dealership, every single Ford dealership in the state is the largest one in the state? You ever noticed that before? Like, wow. Like they're all the largest in the state. That is amazing. How's that even possible? The answer is they're lying. Now with sales and product teams in Houston, Dallas, and Austin, Allied Siding and Windows is equipped to deliver award-winning products and high-quality service. Okay, you think, well, what's wrong with that, Rich? I don't know. Let's go to the next one. This is James Hardie Siding, RJ Construction. Now this is the top of the page. I'm going to hit the slide advance and show you what shows up if you scroll down. First of all, good luck reading it. Next of all, James Hardy Siding, Hardy Board, Dallas Fort Worth. Realize this is the #2 website that comes up in Dallas. Dallas is a big market. There's like 8 million people there. For the search term, James Hardy Siding. Hardy Board Siding is made by James Hardy. And also known as cement board siding. James Hardy is America's #. If your salesperson, if you were this company, walked into the homeowner, sat down and said that, you would fire them immediately. That's dumb. Yet this is the #1 most important marketing piece that your company has, your website. And the reason that companies create pieces of crap like this is because they sit down with the web development company and they pick a template from WordPress and they find one that looks pretty, not that. And then the web development company says, what was your name again? Gary. Gary, what should we put on the website? And Gary says, I don't know. And then Gary looks at James Hardy and says, hey, James Hardy, what do I put on the website? And James Hardy says, figure it out. And then they go to the James Hardy website and say, well, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. How about this? This is the third one. Milland home construction. Siding is exposed to Mother Nature all day, every day for years. Weather, water, time, fire, and pests can all lead to trouble. That's why James Hardy's Hardy working products are engineered to stand up beautifully, whatever the elements. Now here's what you probably think. Oh, this guy Rich, he's an evil one. He went and found really bad websites and put them on here so he could make a point that doesn't exist. No. False. I simply Google searched Dallas, James Hardy Siding, and this is what you are now giving the prospect to try to decide who to do business with, who to call, who to give their money to. There's one more, I won't go through it. I mean, I do want to point this out. Look on the right-hand side. This is if you scroll down. See that thing that says Hardy Plank Lap Siding, and then below that it says Hardy Shingle Siding? I wonder where that came from, James Hardy's website. Watch this. Next one. Oh, I lost it. You'll find multiple companies copy and paste that exact same stuff, which, by the way, who's our digital marketing experts in here? That's a huge no-no with Google. You don't want to do that. Here's what it all sounds like. Remember Charlie Brown cartoons? Remember when Charlie Brown would talk to a teacher or to his mom? Wah, 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 wah. You know what that represents? I think it represents this. I think in Charlie Brown's world, when he's talking to a mom or to a parent or to a teacher, I think the wah, wah, wah sound represents no matter what you're saying, it doesn't matter, it all sounds the same. Who cares? Would you please finish talking so I can go do whatever I want to do? And here's what you're saying in your marketing. Identity. This is the antidote for the platitude. Write this down, take a picture of it with your phone, whatever you want to do, capture this. Words, phrases, and images articulated with power, precision, and passion that instantly, definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect when doing business with you. This is what we are aiming for. Victory goes to the one with superior forces where? At the point of contact. Where do we want to have our identity? We want to have it at any point of contact. If that's a radio commercial or TV, if that's on your website, if that's on online advertisements, if that's on Facebook advertising, if that's at your home show, we want to have this. Words, phrases, and images articulated with power, precision, and passion. Power, precision, passion. Did we see that in the James Hardy examples? Is that my opinion, or is it just kind of a fact? It's my opinion that would be concurred with by every human on the planet. Instantly, definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect. Now, everybody in the room except that guy over there said that they feel like they're different and better. So we need to find a way to communicate that, all right? Now, let's talk about confirmation bias. We're going to come back to Holiday Inn Express, Stay Smart, Showerhead. Confirmation bias says that people look for evidence to support what they already believe, ignore or minimize evidence that goes against what they believe. So we see this all the time in politics, right? So you got Donald Trump. Do you like Donald Trump or do you hate Donald Trump? The likelihood is that you like Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump. Don't ever really meet anybody that says, yeah, he's okay. He's pretty good. I like some of his stuff. He's got a few things I disagree with, and he's got a couple things I like, but, you know, I can kind of take or leave depending on the thing. Nobody says that. Here's what they say. He is the devil, Satan himself. He's Hitler, right? And he's the Nazis, and they're coming, and they're going to kill you. And then on the other side, people love him, and no matter what he does, they say, oh, it doesn't matter if he said this or did that or criticized this person. It doesn't matter. He's awesome. He's wonderful. He's going to save us. Confirmation bias. Well, same thing about the Democrats, right? Do you like Hillary Clinton or do you hate Hillary Clinton? If you like her, then everything she does is wonderful. If you hate her, then she's an email cheating, debate cheating loser. But here's the key thing I want you to think about. No matter what your preferred person does, you filter it through whether you like them or not. And if you like them, then you ignore and minimize all the stuff that's bad. You also, I mean, this is how a kid, okay, think about this. I've got teenage kids. What if a teenage kid, the mom's in there changing the sheets or something, and she goes under the mattress and finds some weed under there? And then she says, oh, Johnny, I found this weed. This is so terrible. And what does Johnny say, of course? Oh, well, that's not mine. You know my friend Todd? Well, his cousin Nick from Colorado, where it's legal, his cousin was here of my friend whose friend was there, and it was like, I don't even know that person. I don't even know how it got there. And the mom says what? Oh, such a good boy. I'm so glad you're not doing this, because we look for evidence to support what we believe, that our child is an angel, and we ignore or minimize evidence that goes against what we believe. This is how humans work. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just a thing that we need to notice. And guess where else we find this? At Holiday Inn Express. See, this is the whole idea of isolating something that is a competitive advantage to yours and then pointing at it repeatedly, pointing at it repeatedly, pointing at it repeatedly, pointing at it repeatedly, so that people notice it when otherwise they might not. Now, for instance, let me help you understand this. If you don't point things out to people, they won't notice them. And the reason they won't notice them is because there's too much stuff to notice. Did anybody notice when you walked into this room that at the back left-hand corner, there's 3 boxes that are made out of cardboard that have Amazon printed on them? There's two big ones and a small one. Did anybody notice those boxes? Who didn't notice the boxes? How do you notice? There's just too much stuff to notice. Sometimes you notice stuff, sometimes you don't. What we've got to do is we've got to not assume that everybody's going to notice how awesome and wonderful we are in our companies, and we've got to actually point at it. Remember, how many stars does the Showerhead get in absence of pointing? 4.5. Why? Because most people look at the Showerhead and they're like, I don't know, as long as it doesn't suck and it's got some shower pressure and it's not calcified, decrepit, and nasty, I don't even notice it. But when you point at it several times, people then say, oh, it's awesome. So here's the question. What do you want people to know about your company? Now, I've worked with home improvement companies for a long, long time. We've isolated somewhere in the neighborhood of about 60 different elements that your identity can be based on. About 60 different elements. And so what you've got to do is take these 60 different elements and map them to your company and the things that you do well, and then find ways to talk about them with power, precision, and passion so that people can instantly and definitively understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, and what people can expect when they do business with you. You do certain things really, really well. There's reasons that your customers love you. What are they? You've got to identify them and articulate them so it's impossible to miss. Does this make sense? Is this starting to register with anybody? If people can't tell what to expect when they do business with you, you're going to lose. It doesn't mean you'll never get business and you lose every time. It means that compared to what you should be doing and getting, you're losing. You have to tell people what to expect. You have to point at the shower head. Make sense? All right, so let's go through an example. This is for a remodeling company in New York, Ithaca, New York. It's called Upscale Remodeling. I met this company. This example is a couple years old. This was their website, and this is like, 2003 called. They want their website back. When Upscale does the work, you can be sure it's done right, according to Maurice and Shirley Stith in Ithaca. As one of Ithaca's oldest full-service home remodeling companies, we'll make sure your remodeling project is handled professionally from concept to completion every time. Are you super excited to do business with this company? I'm not. Here's what I did. Sat down with them, did what we call identity discovery. Find out, what is it that you do? And it starts like this. Hey, what makes you different and better? And guess what the answers almost always come back? Platitudes. Oh, we've got higher quality. Okay, well, how do you have higher quality? Well, we just do. Like what? Give me an example. Tell me a story. Here's what you're going to find. Marketing at its fundamental foundational core is just storytelling. It's just storytelling. And if you're not telling stories, you're not doing it right. Otherwise, you're giving antiseptic facts that are devoid of context, that are hard for people to understand and draw conclusions on. Okay? So here's what I found out. This company is detail freaks. Almost to the point of OCD. This guy, Steve Nash, not the basketball player, the remodeler. Very OCD. I asked him, give me examples of times when you've done it right. And he started rattling off stories. One of the stories I remember was he had a customer that wanted a very specific kind of pull knobs for the kitchen. And he put the pull knobs in after exhaustive search to find just the right pull knobs. And when the homeowner came in, he looked at her face and registered a slight amount of disappointment. And he said, how do you like the pull knobs? I know we spent a lot of time looking for just the right one. And the homeowner said, yeah, I like them. And he went, threw a flag. That's me throwing a flag like football. Not acceptable. He said, you don't love them, do you? She said, no, they're fine. We spent a lot of time looking. He said, unless they're perfect, I'm not happy. And he saw this sort of relief wash over her. And he said, let's go find some other ones. So he went out of their market to showrooms that were bigger, that they didn't have locally available. He knew what she was looking for generally, brought her back something like 6 or 7 or 8 different ones that he thought might really hit the mark, and she found the one that she loved. That's the kind of company that they are. Now, you might hear that story and say, so what? We do the same thing. Yeah, but if you don't point at the shower head and tell people about it, guess what? They'll never know. They'll never know. They'll never know. Now, guess what happens? If you start telling people that you're OCD and you do things a certain way, and you went and you tell the story about you went and found a certain thing, and you went and got 7, 8 different ones, and you start telling people that, and you show it to them. Then guess what happens when they sit down with you in any environment, in any situation, in any discussion? They start to notice, wow, this guy's really paying attention to my needs. This guy really cares about what I get. And if you don't point at the shower head, they won't know. You'll look like everybody else. Now you're competing on price. And then you're pissed. You're like, this is price. These guys don't want to pay. But it's your fault. These people don't want to pay. These people are all broke. These people don't have money. The recessions have been over for 10 years. Everybody's got money. Why won't they give it to me? Because you didn't tell them why you should give it to them. This is a tough crowd. This is a tough crowd, man. You guys should be pissed. Price competition shouldn't exist. My clients are all, not my little teeny ones that are growing, they're working on this. My big clients, they are all at the extreme high end of the price point. Service Champions Heating and Air Conditioning, their average system, $14,800. They're competing against guys that are advertising all over the place, complete system, $49.95. Their top salesman's, his average is $22,000. For the same stupid Lennox air conditioner that you can get from any dealer. Why is it worth 14 to 22,000 instead of 5 to 7,000? And the answer is because that company does so many things different, better, and right that it is going to absolutely 100% be done exactly right. And if not, it's going to be fixed and you are going to be super happy. And they're going to take your dog on a walk. And you think I'm joking. They have a program called Good Deeds for Free. When they go into the customer's home, they say, Gary, is there anything we can do? I see you've got these boxes over here. Can I help move those for you somewhere? Those look like they're, maybe I'm misreading this, but are those need to be somewhere else? Yeah, I'll move them for you. People love, with a capital flipping L, this company. Do they love your company? Now, back to this company. Gone on a tangent. It's time to fix this. Their website makes them look like every other remodeler on the planet. So here's what we came up with. Now, at the top there, that's what we call a slider. So if you've seen these on a website, right, it's on there and then it slides and another thing comes up. Here's what the top one says. We're hyper strict on installation standards. Every little detail down to the last nail is carefully considered. Well, then it slides to another one. I'll show you those in just a minute. Below that, welcome to stress-free, quality first, not done until you say it's done remodeling. Successful remodeling doesn't happen by accident. It's deliberate, measured, and absolutely on purpose. We're sticklers for detail. We obsess over perfection, so we're not the fastest and we're not the cheapest. According to our clients, we're simply the best. Now, let me ask you this. Is there power, precision, and passion in what we've just seen? Can people understand who we are, how we're different, why we're better, and what they can expect when they do business with us? Yes. Somebody might look at this and say, that's too many words. I don't want to use that many words. I don't like that many words, Rich. Well, how else are you going to communicate stuff except for with words? And you say, very deftly, because I'm going to use pictures, and I'm going to show how beautiful it is. And my response to that is, great, except for all of your competitors are also using beautiful pictures. Remember the green apples and the red apple and the green apple and the red apple and the green apples and the green apple? Green, red, it's what you want. Green, red, it's what you think. Green, green is what's happening. Because I'm telling you, your beautiful photos on your website look about the same as the beautiful photos on the other guy's website. We've got to use some words to communicate. You don't have to take a picture, just look it up. It's upscaleremodeling.com. Just go online and look at it. We put this stuff into a brochure. We leave this with the customer. We use this as a home shows. Why would it be any different? Look at it. Stress-free, quality first remodeling. Here's what our customers have to say on the back. Upscale is your choice for craftsman quality remodeling. Then we talk about the things we do on the inside of this. It's not done until you say it's done, period. We're sticklers for detail. We obsess over perfection. Right here, whoops, that doesn't do what I thought it did. What to expect when you hire the best in the middle. We specialize in even better than I imagined. Are you starting to get the feel for who this company is, how they're different and better, and what you can expect when you do business with them? Is there a little bit of power, precision, and passion involved in here? And the answer is, of course, yes. This is what we want to do. We want to point at the showerhead. The question is, what is your showerhead? So here's what we do. We take your identity, identify it, isolate it, figure out what the showerhead is, and then start pointing at it where? In your website with an E, which should be website. Print ads, mailers, online ads, you know, everything. The identity becomes the hub of everything you ever do for the rest of your God-given life as a business. Up there at the top, you see it says bread and butter. Here's what bread and butter is. Bread and butter is whatever you're doing right now that's already working, that's making sense and drives leads for you. I get people all the time, they come to me, oh, we're in this mailer and it's working well. Should we change it? And the answer is, keep doing it, but let's test putting identity in. But meanwhile, let's overhaul your website so that instead of looking like everybody else and being another green apple, let's make it a red apple so that when people see your ad and now they go to your website, now a rising tide lifts all ships. The identity on your website is going to fix a lot of things in your marketing, but then we've got to take and put it in everything else. All right, so let's discover your identity. There's the definition again. That was kind of cute. Let's go to the next slide. Step one, what makes you tick? Step one, what makes you tick? Well, What do you already do that customers like? What do you take pride in? What makes you different and better than your competitors? What are you really, really good at? What do you want written on your tombstone? That sounds a little morbid. Here's what that means. If you have a very limited amount of space and you want to say something extraordinarily profound, what would you say about your company? What would you say? What are you absolutely unwilling to fudge on? Meaning, things that you feel so passionate about that you won't change or do differently, even if your customer wants you to. Write yours down now. Or don't. Either way. Now, remember I said that we have identity points that we've identified for remodelers? And then what we do is just map them to your customer. Now, you don't have to write this down, and I don't expect you to absorb all this, but I just want to kind of give you an idea. We look at your core values. And this is some core values that some of our clients have had that we've captured. Bedside manner, how you treat people. Being punctual, communication, no sales pressure, cleaning up after yourself, worker appearance, hiring standards, background check, drug test, things like that. Okay? Workmanship. No cutting corners, done right the first time. These are all identity points that we might find in your company. Now, here's what we're not going to find in your company, all of these things. Maybe all of these things to a certain extent, but some of these things that you really, I mean, think about Holiday Inn Express. Why did they pick their showerhead? Does that mean that they have crap beds and they have hard pillows and that their rooms are dirty and that their restaurant is terrible? No. Those things are things they're also working on, but they said, you know what? Let's really focus in on this thing that we really, really excel at. Okay? And then other things. Maybe it's your community outreach, your reputation, financial stability, messed up and fixed it. You know that talking about the time when you messed up and you fixed it is probably the most valuable marketing message you could ever give somebody, because here's what it says. We're a company of integrity. And yeah, things happen and we do mess up, and here's how we make it right. The bigger the mess, I have a client that burned a customer's house down. For real, like the whole thing burned down. We don't talk about that one. That's a little too big of a mess up. Step 2, build a case. Imagine that you're being put on trial and you had to prove that you were blank. What goes in the blank, do you think? The stuff from the previous slide. If it was Holiday Inn Express, prove that you have the best showerhead, right? If it's your company, prove that you have the best low sales pressure approach, or you play the fewest pricing games, or that you have the highest quality, most efficient, lowest air infiltration window, or that you're the most trustworthy company, core values. Whatever the point is, all right? What evidence could you produce to prove it? What could you prove it with? Can you tell stories to back it up? Can you provide witnesses? Be specific, no platitudes. This is where storytelling comes into play, okay? Be as specific as possible. I'm giving you the steps of how to create an identity. Part of this is to create social proof and evidence. Online reviews, customer references, project photos or videos, case studies, awards, accolades. We don't have time to go into this in detail, but this is all part of the building a case. The About Us page is an important part of telling your story about who you really are. Okay? You have to explain stuff to the jury. Here's what you can't do. You can't just go to the jury and assume that they understand what you're talking about. Is anybody in here old enough? I'm looking around, I think there's people in here old enough to remember the O.J. Simpson trial. Remember all that? I mean, it was like 6-7 months. It was crazy. This is back in '94. And there was like, remember like the Bruno Mali shoe and the glove that didn't fit? Remember all that? And then the blood splatter? See, here's what you can't do with the jury. You can't show the jury a picture of blood splatter and say, see? We knew it was OJ. Look at how the blood splattered. You have to tell the jury, look, based on this blood splatter, I'm an expert witness now in the court case, and I'm going to show you how blood splatters in this situation, and then I'm going to show you how it splatters in this situation, and if you're a former Buffalo Bill running back, it splatters like this. And see, that maps to how OJ's case worked. And you have to explain stuff. See, this is a Bruno Mali shoe. See the print of it? You have to show people so they understand. You can't just say Bruno Mali shoe. This is where the people get trapped and where they fall down and where they mess up. They use platitudes. They say blood splatter instead of explaining it. How do you explain it? Right here. Online reviews, customer references, project photos, case studies. And then on the previous slide, talking about telling stories and helping people understand, okay? Step 3, power, precision, and passion. When you speak with power, people are going to believe you're powerful. When you speak with power, you stand out from the crowd. Now, nobody believes me when I say this. Everybody hates Donald Trump or loves Donald Trump, depending right now. Years ago, before Donald Trump was ever a political figure, I used to use him as an example on this slide. I would say, think of the person that you can think of that, whether or not they have any substance to them, seems to be powerful because of the absolute conviction in what they say every time they open their mouth. And the answer is Donald Trump. Now, it's a terrible example because half the people hate him. Back in the old days, it was great because everybody loved him. Now everybody hates him, or no, half the people hate him. But think about just speaking with power, speaking with power, speaking with power. We want to say things in a way with power so people go, oh, that person, that company, that website, that advertisement, that home show exhibition, that sounds like they know what they're talking about, okay? Step 1, as you integrate this into your business, step 1 is your website. This is the same website I showed you earlier. Remember I said it had sliders? Here's another slider. We focus on every single detail of every single job. That's how we guarantee 100% satisfaction, start to finish, no exceptions. I want you to think how we've upped the power just based on the language that we use. Look at some of the power words in this phrase. Every single detail, every single job, guarantee, start to finish, no exceptions. It's powerful. Here's another one. Our warranties have backbone and teeth, not loopholes. When we say it's covered, you can take it to the bank. Here's what most companies say. Lifetime warranties. And the customer hears it and goes, okay. They pay no attention at all. It's like the showerhead in most hotels that just sits there and squirts water and nobody notices it. We want people to notice stuff. We're hyper strict on installation standards. Every little detail, down to the last nail, is carefully considered. Consistent, clear communication is our calling card. Always know your job status. No unpleasant surprises, ever. How often do they have unpleasant surprises? Never, ever. How do we know? Because we said it with power, precision. What's the last word? Passion. Okay, I already showed that to you earlier, so for the sake of time, we'll go past it. This is the About Us page. Trust is a matter of both character and competency. We're not just good at what we do, we're good people too. Let's face it, remodeling your home is a big deal. It's expensive, takes a while to complete. Strangers will be in your home constantly. You have to live with the results for a really long time. Then it goes on to explain the history of this company. We don't have time for that right now. By the way, you can go look at this website at upscaleremodeling.com and just kind of go through it and take a look, okay? This is the workmanship page. Technical excellence doesn't happen by accident. It's a matter of training, experience, process, and passion. At the end of the day, the guy who's actually doing the work has to be really, really good at what he does. So what makes a person really good at remodeling? First thing, passion. This is powerful stuff, y'all. Now, this is the case studies page. Do you have case studies on your website? Here's what a case study is. A case study says, here's a job that we did, here's the problem that the customer was having, here's what they wanted to have happen, and here's the solution that we implemented, and here's photographic evidence of everything I just talked about. Let's get a behind-the-scenes peek. Remember we talked about building a case? If I'm standing in front of a jury, which is the marketplace, which is your prospects, and the only thing they have to go on is what I show them, because victory goes to the one with what? Superior forces, where? At the point of what? Contact. See, here's the great thing about a website that's full of identity. It's a self-guided case to prove that you're different, that you're better, that you're worth it. So here's what we're doing now, typically as an industry. We're relying on the salesperson to come into the home and tell these stories, which is fine, but like I said earlier, you don't even know how many sales opportunities you missed. Because they went to your website, they looked at it, and they went, nah, I'll see who else is out there. And they keep looking. You ever walked into a store, like a retail store before? Have you ever done this before? You walk into a retail store, you're looking for a pair of shoes or a belt or something, whatever it is, dress, and you walk in there, and you look at it, and immediately you kind of feel like, oh, no, this isn't really, they don't have the stuff I want. And you look for a second, and the person says, can I help you? And you say what? Oh, no, thanks. And then you turn and you leave. In the internet world, this is called a bounce. And Google hates it. And it kills your SEO, and it kills your search rankings. Yet we create web pages all the time. See, we're going to have a little discussion about online marketing. Here's the little secret about online marketing. Where Google puts you in the search rankings has everything to do with how interesting and relevant your website is, and almost has nothing to do with all the bullcrap that everybody tells you it's about. If people like what they find on your website and they stay on your website, Google's going to love that and push you up the rankings. If you try to trick Google by thinking, hey, we're this company that does all these cool things, and you use SEO hacks, Google's going to quickly discover that with their algorithm and push you down the rankings. Here's the key: interesting and relevant. And this is one of the case studies. And if you scroll, you'll see below this, and you can go on to this actual website and look, and you'll see photos of the job. Better Business Bureau. This is just an example. Everybody knows the Better Business Bureau, right? Well, maybe the jury doesn't. How would they know what blood splatter is supposed to look like? So we tell them, here's what the Better Business Bureau is rating. Here's what they look for. There's 16 different things, and here's how we rate. And here, click it and go see it for yourself. This is the About Us page. It talks about his story, how his family's been in the area since the 1600s, and they've been building since the 1700s. I don't have time to go through it. Read it later. This is a website that we just launched last week for Ameritech Windows in Colorado. It's a triple pane window company, the absolute windows in Colorado, period. You go to the triple pane window page. That's why having you got to scroll up to see the headline, but that's why having triple pane windows are the absolute key to energy efficiency, and it talks about it in more details than you're normally accustomed to. You can go to ameritechwindows.com and look at this website. If you want to jot down these are all good examples of identity in websites. If you want to just make a note, go check these out. The first one is servicechampions.com. You can also go to servicechampions.net. They're actually two different companies that are sister companies, one in Southern, one in Northern California. Servicechampions.net is actually newer, and it's a better representation. Zen Windows, Denver, Colorado Springs, Jericho Home Improvements, and of course Upscale Remodeling are just a few of the examples that you can look at. I see people making notes. I'll give you a second to jot it down. All right? All right. Step 2, SEO. We'll go through this very quickly. What does Google want? What's on Google's brain? The most important thing to Google is making sure that when people search for something, they find what they're looking for. Their entire business model is dependent on a positive outcome on every search that happens. If they don't find what they want, then that hurts Google's ability to make money. What are the two things that Google wants to see the most? The very most important thing Google wants to see for a website. So put it this way, Gary, what market are you in? Jacksonville? Yeah. So he's in the Jacksonville market, you sell windows, right? So somebody in Jacksonville sits there and goes, replacement windows. This is me typing into Google, replacement windows. When Google receives that query from a random person sitting in Jacksonville, it now has to say to itself, this is Google talking, what window company should I show? And the very most important thing that it considers is which site is the most popular, which site has the most traffic. It's like trying to figure out a restaurant, and you see a restaurant that has like cars and people in it all the time, and you try to get a reservation, you can't because it's always booked out for weeks or months. And you say, I don't know if that restaurant's any good or not, but apparently according to what? Everybody must be good. Google looks at that and says, if tons of people are going to a certain window company site in Jacksonville, Florida, it must be good. It's going to give it a lot of search juice. You can't control that if you don't have a lot of external marketing pushing people to your website. You're going to be losing to huge companies that are spending millions of dollars on advertising because they're pushing people to their website. And Google doesn't know where that traffic's coming from because it's coming from external sources, but here's what Google knows. It's a popular website. But here's what you can control, and it's the second thing. Number 1, popular. Number 2, how long do people spend on the website? And Google measures every single click, every single page, and they know exactly how long people are on each page, how long they should be on the page if they actually read it, and they know how long people stay on the site, how many clicks they make. And if Google sees that people are going to your site, Gary, maybe you're not a huge company and you don't have tons of traffic, but the people that are going there, they're clicking an average of 11 pages and they're staying an average of 14 minutes. Google looks at it and says, holy crap, I don't know what's going on there, but something positive, people like this website. Push it up the rankings. Meanwhile, your competitors who maybe are more well-funded than you and have a better SEO company than you are sending people to their website, but they're finding platitudinal bullcrap on their website, and people read it and they go, okay, it looks pretty interesting, I guess, and they hit the back button, and you've got 14 minutes average on your website, and your competitor has an average of 53 seconds on the website, and after a few weeks and months of this, Google looks at that and says, what? Which site should I send people to? 14 minutes or 53 seconds? And all of the stuff that you're doing to try to trick Google into pushing you up the rankings via SEO, it's all bullcrap. Every single piece of it. It all sucks. It's all stupid. I'm right. Because all Google cares about is what is the most popular site and what is the site that people actually stay on. How do we achieve that? I'm glad you asked. We have to find out what's interesting and relevant and then talk about it. People say, oh, well, we got to put videos on websites. Is that true or false? It's true, because hopefully you have an interesting and relevant video. What if you have a video on your website, but it's not interesting or relevant? You lose! No. Google wants videos. False. Google wants stuff that's interesting and relevant, and if you have an interesting and relevant video, awesome. If you have a crap video, not awesome. So here's the here's the things. It's the same list I gave you earlier. So we've got to now write, what if we wrote blog posts about this stuff instead of the normal, typical BS blog posts that go, why do you even have a blog on your website? Oh, because the SEO guys told us we had to. Why though? Well, because Google wants to see that we put new, fresh content on our website all the time. Yeah, but why? Because Google's hoping that you put something worthwhile on there. If you just keep churning ridiculous bullcrap and putting it on your website because Google has a checkbox that says you need to put articles on your website, that's not helping anything. It's actually hurting you because people find that stupid, ridiculous article that you put on your website that maybe isn't stupid or ridiculous, but it's not very interesting and it's very antiseptic and it just kind of was written by some dude in India to fill a box and check it. And now here's what happens. People click on that and they go to it and they go, well, there's nothing really that great on here. And they hit the back button and now guess what? Google says, well, this website must suck. And the SEO that you're paying hard, good money for is actually hurting your SEO. And this is why people look up and they're like, man, I do SEO. It doesn't work, man. It's not working. I know, because the bullcrap that they're putting on your website sucks. Yeah, but it's checking the box. Nonsense. Diggable blog posts. This is what we're looking for. Diggable. When people see it, they keep digging through your website to find more and more because they like what they're seeing. This is a blog post headline. I couldn't sleep, so I emailed an angry customer at 2:45 a.m. Somebody sees that headline, they go, wonder what that is. They click on it. There's a story. Guess what marketing is at its core essence? Storytelling. And the story says, we got a negative review. The customer was upset. It came in at 9:45. I was so upset that I got this negative review, but it was late, so I couldn't do anything. But I couldn't sleep. So finally at 2:45, it was eating at me so bad that I got up and I sent this email. The next morning at 6 o'clock, I had my crews called, and we had our production manager call him at 7:15. And by 8 o'clock, we were at the house, and here's what we did, this, and fixed it, and we upgraded and gave them even better. Because I was so pissed that we messed up that I fixed it, and I made it more than right. And people read that, and they go, wow, that's a really cool company. And then you write a blog post, and your SEO guy writes a blog post, and here's what it says. 7 types of windows. Which is best for you? We just gave away 440 American flags for Veterans Day. We support 49 mamas in Haiti. Each is responsible for raising 10 orphans. This would be under community service. What we did when a vendor accidentally undercharged us by $42,300. And my accountant figured this out. We found out that we'd underpaid, and it had been 6 months when we were doing an audit. We figured this out, and we immediately wrote a check to the vendor because they've got to stay in business too. Just because they made a mistake doesn't mean they should be penalized. Wow, what a trustworthy company. We are a trustworthy company. Well, prove it. 20% of the time we advise people not to buy from us. That's a good blog post. Bedside manner. Why I fine my staff $10 a minute when they're late for meetings. Well, if you talk about how you fine them and it's $10 a minute if they're late for meetings, what does that tell them about the likelihood of you showing up on time at their house? Or you could say this, we're always on time. Punctual is our promise. How we perfected the art of accurate quoting and not making customers mad. Inside the creepy sales boot camps other companies send their sales reps to. You want to read that article right now, don't you? Admit it. Watch out for companies that use the FedEx close. Now you might use the FedEx close. What's the FedEx close? I'll tell you later. Why we said no to facial hair, visible tattoos, and face piercings. Are you going to send somebody over to install something at somebody's house that looks like they might rape and pillage your wife and children and family? Is this a real thing? It's a real thing. Workmanship. Why we use $9 tubes of caulk instead of $3 cheap tubes? You can actually make a case based on, see, this is that level of OCD. This is that level of detail. This is telling people how this works. Do you think a company that uses $9 tubes of caulk probably spends more money on other stuff in other parts of the installation and whatnot also? Does this communicate anything to the customer about how you operate? And that, hey, maybe we're a little bit more expensive, but if you understood why a $9 tube of caulk makes a difference, you might be willing to actually pay for it. You tell me, room of window folks, does a $9 tube of caulk perform better than a $3 tube of caulk? But see, we've got to find the shower head, and then we have to point. Because if we don't point, we can use $9 tubes of caulk all day long. Our prices are going to be higher, and everybody's just going to be pissed that our prices are higher. We can't sell because our prices are higher. Well, tell them about the caulk thing. My installers get 0 warnings. Cut corners and you're fired. There's a good blog post. People ask me all the time about OCD. Here's my honest answer. Don't you want to see what that is on the blog post? Why you pay our installers extra for doing the job slower? Huh? How to easily spot the difference between high quality lumber and low quality lumber. Photos, 11 botched installs and how to avoid them. Other elements. Our installers who just completed a 50-mile foot race in the mountains. Well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, nothing. But here's what it is. It's 1 blog post out of 5 in a given month, which is 1 out of 60 in a given year. And it's painting a picture of who we are, what we're all about, how we're different, why we're better. And part of that is we have interesting people that work for us. Why our managers wear booties into their weekly meetings. I have clients that make their managers wear the same booties that installers and technicians wear into the houses, into the meetings, to put it into their culture, into their brain, that that's how we respect people's property. Take a peek into our new employee exercise room and health bar. We're certified debt-free for the 19th year in a row. How we botched this window install and what we did to make it right. Okay? Then you have to take this content and you have to put it on the website in a way that's easy to find and that makes sense. So this is a Window Depot of St. Louis. This website is launching, I think, next week. This is the blog page. The weird story of how we won the St. Louis BBB Torch Award for ethics. Picture proof that some St. Louis County contractor shouldn't touch James Hardy siding. The myth of the $189 window in St. Louis. Then what we do is when you click on that article and you're reading it, guess what we do? We have a little widget that embeds additional articles inside that article so that while you're reading the article, you see better articles, not better, but other additional articles that are also interesting and relevant to this company's identity. And then guess what? People see those and they click. On every single page of this website, on the right-hand side column, guess what you're going to see? We're going to feed you diggable content blog posts with interesting headlines. And here's what happens. 2 things happen. Number 1, people start digging around and Google goes bananas because they know, because they're measuring everything, wow, Gary, people are staying on your website for 11 minutes. The average website in your industry is, whatever, far less. That's number one. Google loves you. Guess what happens when Google loves you? Pushes you up the rankings. It's just that simple. Easy, easy. That's it. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. What do you need to know to lose weight? Exercise and diet. That's it. Everything else is a hack. It's somewhat shortcut to make you feel like it's not as hard when you just have to do those basic things. But here's the second part. People. See, Google's never going to buy a damn thing from you. But here's who's going to buy stuff from you. People. And here's what's going to happen when you do this. People are going to fall in love with your company. And they're going to say, wow, this company is different. This company is awesome. Sales go up. Conversions go up. Prices go up. Profits go up. Does this make sense? I think it makes sense. All right. Step 3 now is media. And now what we're talking about is advertising. So here's what we do. We take all this cool stuff that we wrote for blog posts, and now we repurpose it into advertising messages. If you're going to make the jump, you're going to have to consistently reach a lot of people at a reasonable CPM. CPM, cost per 1,000 people reached. Where do you find people in large quantities at low cost per 1,000? Well, there's 3 that I can think of that are better than others most of the time, not always. It varies case by case. Number 1, radio, TV, Facebook, also YouTube a little bit. That's it. Oh, you're saying I shouldn't be at the home show? No, I didn't say that. You're saying I shouldn't be in the Valpak? Didn't say that. Saying I shouldn't be in the whatever it is that you're doing now that's working well for you? No, it didn't say that. I'm saying this is how you grow big, because this is where you reach a gazillion people with high frequency, and you hit them over and over and over with what kinds of messages? Identity. Identity. You can see examples of this. Go to level10contractor.com. That's my website. And then click on services and then radio and TV. And you can see TV commercials and you can listen to radio commercials. It's the same kind of stuff. Why would you talk about anything on your radio commercial other than the time when we screwed up and made it right? Or whatever things that we just talked about. Here's what we do. We take the 60 or so things that are identity points for contractors, we map them to your company, find the things that you do, map them to those, and then we write them in a way that has power, precision, and passion. That's it. That's how this works. It's really, really simple. That's what that page looks like. Radio samples, you can see TV samples. Okay. Worked with Hanson's. They sold out for $80 million. Excuse me, they got to $80 million when they sold out. I don't know how much they sold out for, but it was 9 figures. John Bartram, this is Jericho. We knew how to spend money on advertising. We didn't know how to communicate with power, precision, and passion. Our RPL has almost doubled since working with Rich. People call and they already know they want to do business with Jericho. They're not just dependent on Google sending them somebody that doesn't know anything anymore. Dave Normandine, this is Long Roofing. We did 60 million in 2018. Now we want to get to 100 million. Okay. If you're interested, we've launched a daily podcast. It's called the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. And you say, daily podcast? That sounds like a lot. It's a lot. But here's the great thing about a daily podcast. Any day that you listen to something that's not super the right exact thing that you're interested in listening to, just punt and come back tomorrow, okay? Look it up on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Here's the key question. Do you have a powerful identity in your marketing? I'd like to make you an offer, which is I would be happy to audit your existing website. You may not like the results. Just telling you right now. We'll do a conversionability audit based on identity, diggability, social proof, engagement, and then any negative things. Those should all sound familiar. Those are things that we've just talked about today. You can see here, out of a max score, this particular example scored 15. Guess what the range is for the majority of the websites that we audit? Between 0 and 40. Only about 10% of websites rate above a 40 on conversionability. They don't have identity. They're not diggable. They don't have evidence. They don't have social proof. And if they do, it's not that much. Then we also audit the findability, which is going to be your SEO. And you can see this is based on a bunch of different categories on the left. and again, usually not doing as well as you'd like. So if you'd like to participate in that, here's all you need to do. There's two ways to request the audit. One is you can go to our website, and under services, you'll see website audit. There's a form on there. You can fill it out. Just type that up, fill it out, push go. Somebody will contact you, and they will audit your website. They will give you a grade. You will probably not be happy. Maybe you will be. And if you are, I'll bring it to the next seminar I do, and I'll show it to everybody and say, look, a great example of an awesome one. You'll notice there's not one in this presentation. The other way you can do it, just hand me your business card today. I'll be here throughout the day. We're doing a speaker panel in a minute. I'll be here later on. Just hand me a business card, write on the back, audit please, and we'll take care of it for you. We'll be in contact with you, okay? Yeah, that's how you can contact me. That's how you can contact me. We also can do a media audit. If you've got TV or radio, Facebook that you're doing, we can take a look at that, see if it's as powerful and mostly as efficient as it should be. So, Katie, I don't know what the protocol is for the books. What are we going to do there?
We'll actually have them after next session. So we're going to take a 5-minute break now. We'll have limited coffee on each table. Come back quickly. And then we'll go ahead and start our digital marketing channel.
Okay, if you didn't hear, 5-minute break. And then, oh, you're going to announce 5-minute break. Then we'll have the books afterwards. Guys, I'll be available for questions in the panels later on today. So thanks a lot much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rich. There are some really good nuggets there, some golden nuggets. I can't say that I've been in business since 1969 anymore. It's not going to work. I would also say for all of us, we're having some problems with other things in companies, such as hiring and finding good employees. I think what he said has a lot. Identity, culture, decks, those are all very important things for us to be talking about. So that was awesome. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break and reconvene. So we'll see you here shortly.